So typically in the section 1 purpose, scope and users, you define who is this document intended for, what does it cover, and what is its purpose, right? Reference document, this is where you refer to specific articles of DORA, but also to cybersecurity and business continuity standards like ISO 27001, ISO 22301, and so on. And then section 3 defines the overall, let's say, direction of digital operational resilience. So section 3.1 defines how this resilience strategy actually supports the overall business strategy of the company. Section 3.2 speaks about what are the risk tolerance levels and impact tolerance for ICT disruptions. And then 3.3 sets the information security objectives generally for the whole company. Section 4 is about what is this strategy based upon. So first of all, you need to analyze in 4.1 the current resilience situation in a company. 4.2, you are actually describing your ICT or IT infrastructure and also the planned changes to this infrastructure. In 4.3, you define how you're going to manage the risks, how you're going to implement these security controls. And 4.4 is business impact analysis. So basically how you're going to conclude what are your recovery time objectives, recovery point objectives, and so on. Then in section 5, you define how you're going to manage incidents and crisis. And typically this is where you refer to other documents like crisis management plan, business continuity plan, incident response plan, this kind of thing. Section 6 is about what is the strategy for recovery for major incidents. And then you define this strategy for each and every aspect. So 6.1 is about defining the strategy on how you're going to recover physical locations, so primary, secondary locations, these kind of things. 6.2, suppliers and outsourcing partnering strategy. This is basically where you define your exit strategy when it comes to specific suppliers. 6.3 is how you're going to recover applications or databases if in case of a disruption, how you're going to recover overall data. So typically this is through the backup, and you refer here to your backup policy. 6.5, strategy for avoiding single point of failure. So whenever you have identified single point of failure during your risk assessment or business impact analysis, then you have to define how you're going to avoid these kind of potential problems. 6.6, providing financial resources, and these are the resources that are needed in case you have a disruption and then if you have to make some emergency purchases. And then recovery strategies for individual activities. This is typically where you create separate documents, separate strategies for each of your activities, and then put them as appendices to this general strategy. Okay, section 7 is about strategy for third-party risks. So how do you actually deal with the risks related to suppliers and partners? Risk treatment plan, this is where you define how you're going to implement the security controls in your company. So who is in charge of them, what is the deadline, what is the budget for them, and so on. Testing, monitoring, and reporting, so how are you going to supervise the implementation of this whole strategy?